1. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Steven Leitner today on the fucking Shoot the Shit podcast, and I'm joined by Brad, Devin, and Blake as usual. All right, let's just get right into it, boys. All right, I want to get your Devin. I know you were pissed about this, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think of the Bears' new quarterback?
Oh, wow. Pissed is a real big understatement, my guy. All the Andy Dalton signing does is guarantee one thing. It guarantees that the Bears will have a new GM next year, maybe a new coach. I have a feeling they're both gone after this year. There's no way the Bears do better than a 500 record. Maybe, unless there's 17 games, maybe then they can do better than a 500 record. I know they're talking about playing one more game this year. The Andy Dalton signing means two things. One, the Bears are not going to be competitive to win the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers just won the NFC North with the Bears signing Andy Dalton. I don't care what anyone tells me. I mean, there's no way you can tell me that an Andy Dalton can go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers, especially in a crunch time game, for example. And second, the NFC North has the misfortune of playing the Steelers division this year, which is full of like the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots will be improved next year. So it's not looking good for the Bears. We'll see what they end up doing with the draft pick this year. I just have a really strong feeling that it's going to be offensive tackle from blank university. We just re-signed a Fetty to be our right tackle. He's going to probably be our starting right tackle, which that could end up being an absolute disaster. I know last year, though, the last 4 games of the season, he played pretty well there. So, maybe he's figured something out. He's a former first-round pick, failed on the Seahawks, was a penalty machine, but that was at the guard position. I guess he's a much better tackle. But yeah, the Andy Dalton signing, I mean, I guess the Bears did everything they could to try to get Wilson. Can't fault them for that. I do fault them for the Andy Dalton signing, though, because if you can't get Russell Wilson, then they should be going aggressively after one of the top college quarterbacks to try to make this team good.
If Ryan Pace is willing to trade all of that capital for Russell Wilson, I'm interested to see what he's going to do in the draft. I mean, I knew there's no way they're going to get Russell Wilson. I mean, that was kind of just false hope. But if he's willing to trade 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson and 2 roster players, he's going to be willing to trade a lot probably to move up in the draft.
I think it'll be significantly cheaper to move up. I still hold the belief that was
probably 2 first-round picks, I would assume.
It's if you need still to get that quarterback. I don't see him doing that just because we just invested more cap space into the quarterback position when we were already paying $6-7 million for Foles' cap hit as it was. We're not going to take a quarterback with that pick. There's no way. There's too many other holes to fill at this point. And we just, like I said, $10 million in cap space, man. That's not nothing.
Dude, no, he's done this before. He signed Mike Glennon to $45 million. He was going to be the starting quarterback, and then he drafts Trubisky. This could be his fucking idea.
Glennon was never supposed to be our starting quarterback. Glennon was supposed to be.
This can be smoke and mirrors. This could be smoke and mirrors trying to say, oh, I'm not going to try to get a quarterback. That's also a possibility. But also,
we already had Nick Foles. That's the problem here.
But
that's why Andy Dalton is our starter. All
right, so Andy Dalton, his offensive coordinator was Bill Lazor. There's that relationship. They work together. Also, as shitty as it sounds, Andy Dalton's best career seasons would be the best career seasons a Bears quarterback has ever had.
That is a true statement, by the way.
So, obviously, you saw Nick Foles isn't going to be good enough to, this could be a bridge quarterback, because it's a 1-year contract. That doesn't mean you can't draft a quarterback because he's gone after this year. Maybe he develops underneath him. There's still the potential that he trades up a shit ton to go get another quarterback. I still think it's a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it's a fucking crapshoot. We've already said it on this podcast that the Bears are going to be absolute garbage next year, and there's just no hope that the Bears will get the quarterback position, right? Because they've been in purgatory forever.
You said that Andy Dalton last year or his best year would be the best.
I'm saying his best years that he's had.
Okay. His best Cincinnati years was not anything comparable to what he's playing with here on the Bears. He had AJ Green. All kinds.
I understand that. I'm just saying,
That's not even close to a comparison.
He's got Allen Robinson to throw to, but
last year on Dallas, in the backup role, he threw for just over 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, good for a quarterback rating of 87.3.
Look, I'm not saying I like the signing, but this could just that's better than Nick Foles' numbers, and that's what they're trying to fucking do. They're trying to save their ass, and this is the last option that they had. So they just went fucking for Andy Dalton because they missed out on Russell Wilson.
I don't get it at all. I really don't get it.
Not ready to win. We're not ready to win. The offense has too many holes as it was.
Yeah, no shit, dude. This is what we've been saying.
The only chance it had at getting any better was if you had a quarterback throwing guys open, which is not going to be the case once again this year.
The only way for this to be a playoff team was if we got Russell Wilson. That's the only way.
The Bears would not have signed Dalton. I have a strong hunch if they planned on drafting a quarterback. I don't think there's any reason for optimism there. We might take one in like the second or third round, kind of try to do like a Jalen Hurts type of deal. I could see Pace going that route, but any optimism for a top 6 quarterback in this draft, I just don't have any whatsoever.
Brad, what were you gonna say?
No, I want to voice my input here. Like I'm itching at the bit here to really let some anger and some frustration out here because the most idiotic move I've seen, I think, even as a Bears fan, just kind of took place in a sense here. I kind of agree with Steven. I don't know what the move is. Either they're that dumb or stupid, or this is somewhat of a bridge deal they're going to plan an attack for because they don't want Nick Foles. They saw what he did, and they're already giving up on him because they think he sucks, and it's not their system or what the offense is that they put around him with. Obviously, we've given up on Trubisky, and so has management. So they're going to bring in another bridge quarterback, like Steven said with Mike Glennon. I could see why they would do that, and then they're going to go draft like a Mac Jones. I bet you money that's probably what's going to end up happening. But the worst part is I don't get why they would sign Andy Dalton to a $10 million contract with $3 million in incentives if he plays well enough. So you created – what did the Bears just create? Last week, the Bears just created $23 million in cap space by converting base salaries for Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, and Cody Whitehair all into signing bonuses. So they take some of that money and they go get an Andy Dalton as a bridge quarterback instead of putting that, investing it maybe into an offensive line of some sort. And then maybe trying to see, okay, well, if Russell Wilson's not available, or if Dak Prescott's not available, not Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson's not available, then why aren't you talking to New York about trying to get Sam Darnold? When you know they're going to try and take a quarterback as high in the draft as they are. Or swapping that pick, somehow maybe trading up to get their pick with them and giving them some of their kind of a piece, a Khalil Mack or something. Like, I don't get what they're doing here. This is literally, they're setting themselves up for failure, and that's exactly what they're going to get.
Are we surprised, though? It's the Bears.
No, well, no, we're not surprised.
We never had faith. I know that they're going to fuck this up. They're not going to make good decisions. And it's just going to be the same shit every year.
Dalton is our starting quarterback. Because Foles was already here, he might be competing with Foles for the starting job. They might put those air quotes on.
But Dalton's going to be starter week one. Dalton's our starting quarterback. Yes, but that's like a bridge. Like, if for the foreseeable future, it's not. He's most likely not going to be our long-term option. That's what I'm saying. A bridge quarterback for this season, especially if you draft a guy. And then he'll be on the bench behind him. But Devin, I remember you saying
Foles is the bridge guy. He's not
anymore. He fucking sucks.
Quarterback. There's no reason for it. They wouldn't have signed Dalton if they planned on taking a quarterback in the slightest. I don't.
Yes, like I said, maybe why would they not do that?
There, but I don't see that. I think we're going to have the choice of either a Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, and they're going to go for the offensive lineman.
Well, you were saying last week like they were going to trade up and draft a quarterback.
That's what I thought they should have done. That's what I still hold to be true that they should do. I'm saying what I think will happen. I don't think that you sign Nick Foles 2.0 and Andy Dalton and then on top of both guys being there, draft a quarterback when you still have holes all over the offense. It just doesn't make any sense. We would have used that cap space somewhere else if we were planning on taking a quarterback.
I think
we all get that.
They think they're a fringe playoff team, so I don't know if this is what they're thinking. This is what I'm thinking that they're thinking. Nick Foles sucks. He's not going to be the guy to be able to run the offense. I know Andy Dalton's trash, but maybe they think that he's a step up and he can hold over and
they do think
maybe
that.
a season.
They absolutely do,
which is stupid. It's idiotic. He's garbage. And then draft a quarterback. It's possible that they still draft a quarterback because like I said earlier, like nobody was expecting them to pick Trubisky when they fucking signed Mike Glennon. I mean, not to mention they had Mike Glennon at the draft party and they drafted Trubisky after they just signed him to a contract. Like,
right?
I think they're fucking willing to do whatever the fuck. They're willing to do.
They didn't have a quarterback before that. Glennon was here to like be an actual quarterback. We didn't have an actual quarterback because remember, Jay Cutler was gone or something like that. I think it was Jay Cutler. He was retiring.
Jimmy Clausen was a beast, man.
He was there to be a stabilizing force. Foles is basically a stabilizing force, I think, if you're getting a young QB. There is no reason for Andy Dalton if you're taking a quarterback in the first round. There isn't. That's just you're using up too much cap space and now draft capital to fill the quarterback room with bodies. It's just unnecessary. They want Andy Dalton to be their starter, and it's stupid. I agree
for a
with
year,
everybody
for
here
a season.
that said that. And it's just unfortunate that that's the conclusion they came to. If you listen to like some of the things that Hub Arkish was asking the GM and Nagy at the presser at the end of the year, the one that got torched by all the media for how little information they gave, Nagy said that his ideal quarterback, A, has athleticism, and B, knows how to read defenses for his read option plays. He got a quarterback that is another statue in the pocket. Trubisky fits that mold more than Andy Dalton does. So I just it's a huge head scratcher for me, man. It really is. I'm still wrapping my head around it.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I'm wrapping my head around, and I agree with every point that's already been made. Obviously, I think we all do. It's more so I think the fact that they're just hoping and praying that he's going to be able to at least hit people downfield if they're open, because it's obviously Trubisky can't do that.
Dude, I just laughed my ass off when they signed him. I just could not stop laughing. Because it's such a joke, dude. What a fucking
year
shitty...
of not having a 4,000-yard passer quarterback.
Add it to the list. Tack him on, baby. We're tallying him up. What are we on here? 100 and... Let's see. It's 19. 101. That's right, baby. 101 years, no quarterback.
Do you think...
Look,
Go ahead,
it's like the Cubs going without a World Series. Holy shit.
I'm glad that Ryan Pace tried to exhaust all options to get Russell Wilson. But if you didn't fucking make your mistakes beforehand, you would never be in this situation.
That's actually absolutely true. You can't miss the biggest piece of the puzzle.
And do any of us have any faith that Pace is going to hit on the draft picks that he kept? I mean, if we look in recent history at his ability to hit on draft picks, it really makes you worry a little bit, doesn't it?
No, I mean, and the worst part, early draft picks, absolutely, especially
early
if he
draft
a few. He's pretty decent at later round picks. 4th, 5th, 6th round picks, like those have honestly kind of been his bread and butter. If I do say so.
Care. Give me a goddamn quarterback.
No one really cares because your difference makers aren't always going to be in your 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks. Yeah, you might find some good pieces to fill out your roster. I mean, it's very rare to find that kind of a high game-changing talent.
I think it balances out his ability to miss
sucks at those
high picks. He hits with the later 100%. Picks, and it all kind of balances out. Most GMs hit with the high picks, miss with the late picks. Mm-hmm. He seems to be a reverse, of that. So
do you think the Bears?
By the way, I feel so fucking bad for Alan.
Go ahead.
You cut him off.
Sorry, cut him off. I glitched there. I didn't.
Oh, okay. Let me just say this. Do you think the Bears front office listens to the Bear fans at all? Because the Bear fans are a pretty passionate group, and they're not fucking dumb.
They do not listen to the Bears fans.
Did you hear?
They take them for granted.
Did you hear McCaskey at the presser? Going back to that presser, he's like, "I read all the fan stuff, and I don't think people should tell me how to run my business."
That's the biggest.
Everybody's saying I'm an idiot. I'm like, well, it's fucking true.
Did you have a quarterback. He actually even said the thing too, and I don't remember. It was in a quote of an interview, I think, at some point earlier this season, where he said,
"Collaboration.
Hey, I don't like to listen to anybody, and I run my team. I run this team like a fan would." And I'm like, man, if you ran this team like a fan would, you would not be in this situation or be the laughing stock of the NFL. Like, you are just a downright moron.
Collaboration,
but
they have the best collaboration in the NFL.
It's so broken.
Collaboration rating's 99 overall.
Oh, it's so broken, man. It's like the most dysfunctional. It's like the most dysfunctional family you'd ever see in your life, but then put it on a business sports team. That's what you get here. Fucking terrible.
So
management.
Going back to the QB position, knowing that they wouldn't get Russell Wilson, what would you have the Bears do for the quarterback option? Would you just draft one and not sign one and just keep Nick Foles, or would you try to get like a Jacoby Brissett or a Fitzpatrick before he signed with Washington?
Just any option other than trading up for a top 10 pick, like 8th overall, for example, and taking a top end talent college quarterback. Anything short of that, they should not have given any interest, and they shouldn't have spent cap space on another Nick Foles. That's what I think. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Brad.
What I think the Bears should have done before getting Andy Dalton? Is that what the question was?
Like assuming that you can't trade for Watson or Wilson.
Oh, I 100% have already. I think we're making the wrong move here. I think we need to be babying the team that has been also the laughingstock of the NFL, and trying to steal from them, and that would be the New York Jets. And I think they should be going after Sam Darnold. They're going after the wrong guys. They're going after the guys they can't really afford and get. They need to go after the guy that people are already having rumors of. Other teams. San Francisco is now out of the Sam Darnold stakes, apparently, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I completely fucking forgot about.
Everyone keeps forgetting about Sam Darnold because of he's just being in New York. And the thing that people forget is that the New York Jets, what do they have, the 2nd overall pick this year?
They do.
Yeah.
So they're looking to get a quarterback, probably Zach Wilson, and probably not Trevor Lawrence because he's probably not going to fall there. But they're going to get a franchise quarterback. And I don't know how you pass on a guy like that, especially when you're rebuilding a team like this. So clearly, Sam's not going to be the guy. So somehow you work a deal out with New York. Maybe you steal something from them. Maybe you trade away a big piece and get some draft capital back with the quarterback. That's the kind of deal the Bears need to have made. And I just don't get why they probably didn't even exhaust any resources in trying that at all, or even thought about it.
I am not a Sam Darnold believer for this simple fact. Since he's entered the league as a 3rd overall pick, he has been a statistical nightmare. If you're just looking at it, yes,
he's played for Adam Gase.
He's playing for the Jets. I get it.
I would love for you.
Risk, he has not done anything.
Oh, there's a huge risk to take him, right? But why would you not just take a risk on a guy?
You find the Sam Darnold they thought they were getting.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
rather have Sam Darnold or Andy Dalton?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I'd rather take a flyer.
I'd much rather take a flyer on a guy that's only played for the New York Jets with Adam Gase, and I can list you the name of the I can't even list you the name of the wide receivers that Sam Darnold had to throw to while he was there for 2 seasons because they're all awful. They're not even they wouldn't even be somewhat starters on other football teams, and just that entire offense garbage. That might be one of the most laughable franchises in the league other than the Bears. So to get him underneath at least somewhat of a system with a somewhat of offensive minded coach with Matt Nagy, I would have loved to have taken that flyer and that risk versus having Andy Dalton on the team. Just very midline what you're getting.
The difference though for me is
Risk
that Andy Dalton has actually had success in the NFL. Versus Sam Darnold, who has had 0 success in the NFL.
What success has Andy Dalton had?
You just said it at the beginning of the show. If his best season on the Bears would have made history in our franchise, he was a 4,000-yard passer a couple times.
Have you watched his Sam Darnold highlights? I would
still rather fucking try Sam Darnold.
He hasn't done anything though. He's a statistical nightmare, dude. If you look at what he's actually done,
give him a chance.
You got to give him a chance.
He had a chance. That's his chance for me.
Oh,
dude, are you kidding me? What quarterback can go in there and succeed with no name wide receivers, a shitty offensive line? And dude,
he had that ghost talent around him. He's out there seeing ghosts and stuff. I'm not
because his team fucking sucks.
I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm sorry. Dalton has actually done it before, so give me Dalton. But
Dalton hasn't won.
I don't want either one of them. Go out and draft.
They lost in the first round of the playoffs every year. Dalton has not done shit. I would much rather take a flyer on Sam Darnold.
Dalton's been a 4,000-yard passer more than once.
Ooh, 4,000.
That's something that our quarterbacks have never done. You know what, Steven? That's something that Sam Darnold has never done also.
Because he's been with Adam Gase his entire career with no weapons on offense.
Pinpoint that. It's been 3 years. It's not just 1 year that we're talking about.
Give Sam Darnold AJ Green in his prime. I guarantee you will fucking throw 4,000 yards.
I just no.
I honestly I think Sam Darnold's a little more athletic. I saw him take off run one time, just scrambling. I remember it was a rushing touchdown. He trucked somebody over pretty maybe it was for a first down, pretty solidly, like a linebacker. So he's got some competitive spirit. He wants to win. I could see he's going to be a pretty damn good football player when he gets the opportunity.
Well, the
Bears deserve to risk it to get somebody who can throw for 4,000 yards. We know what we're going to get with Andy Dalton, and we know he's not going to be a franchise quarterback. We need to risk it to get the guy. That's what Bears fans deserve.
Here's the thing. Do you want a 23-year-old quarterback who still has the opportunity to grow, or do you want a
that's an objective thing you just threw in there with the opportunity to grow? Andy Dalton, everyone's got an opportunity to grow.
Okay, when you're 33 Dalton was and you've been in the league for 10 years, you know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get in Sam Darnold in a new situation.
You know exactly what you're getting in Sam Darnold, or not Sam Darnold, I guess. Yes, you don't know. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Andy Dalton. I'm getting it mixed up. You know what you're getting with Andy Dalton. You don't know what you're getting with Sam Darnold. It could be a lot better than Andy Dalton. But just the problem is, it's just he hasn't actually done it yet. It's all speculation.
He's been on the worst team in football the past 3 seasons.
You're going with speculation, though. You can say that, but he was a part of that worst team.
I would rather take the speculation of the potential for Sam Darnold to be something better than sign Andy Dalton,
a guy who has shown he's got some ability.
All right, so I'm curious now, Blake. Obviously, you're over there. You're the one outsider here. Being an Indianapolis Colts fan, not a Chicago Bears fan, what's your outside perspective? What would you have done in your shoes or case? Would you have really gone after a different guy? You know, I don't know. Maybe if Fitzpatrick.
Who am I? Am I playing
Jimmy
Ryan
Garoppolo?
Pace?
We haven't been talking about Jimmy G yet, by the way.
Am I Ryan Pace or am I
Pace? You're Ryan Pace.
Oh, I would tell the Bears to fucking fire me because I'm a flipper baby. That's what I would have done.
That's something I can get behind.
I think they're all
that's
that
what I would do.
But give me something. If you actually had to do that, that's it. You just get to fire yourself.
Yeah, I would have been firing me, dude, for the sake of all Bear fans. They do not deserve, or I don't deserve to be fucking running this team.
Okay, let me ask this then: does anyone have any faith in a Jimmy Garoppolo? If that would have been an option?
I would like
too?
that better than Andy Dalton. I would like Jimmy Garoppolo.
That cap hit? No way.
Yeah,
I forget what was this cap hit?
This season.
Is it 25?
It's over $25 million.
Well, right now between
that puts you in a hole.
Between Dalton and Foles, it's about 17. So
it is because Foles was $6 million, and obviously Andy is 10.
It's closer to 7. It's like 6.9 something.
Okay, that fucking number doesn't matter. I mean, it's bullshit anyway. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be a game-altering quarterback.
No, he's a game manager. He's a Ryan Tannehill for sure.
The dude can't throw the. If you think Trubisky can't throw the fucking, they try to take the ball out of Garoppolo's hand as much as they can.
If Garoppolo were to go to Chicago, who do you think's going to the Niners? Probably Trubisky. So, what if Trubisky goes to the Niners and under Shanahan's coaching becomes the quarterback everyone thought he would be?
Dude, I think Mitchell Trubisky probably has. I think he has an opportunity to probably be successful somewhere else.
Okay, well, at least you're consistent. You know,
he might have a decent chance if somebody actually plays to his strengths and doesn't have to deal with this fucking mess. Cause
who do you think has more upside? As first, I want to hear from the Bears fans, and then I'll ask Blake, who has more upside? Trubisky, second overall pick in 20, you guys know when, or Sam Darnold?
I'd say, I know what we're gonna get out of Mitch Trubisky, at least from what I've seen in our offense. Just because I'm so, fed up with the quarterback, and I'm ready for a change, and I would actually be excited. I'm 100% down. This isn't going to be a playoff team anyway. We know that. That's schedule. Why not take a flyer and just fucking throw Sam Darnold out there and see what he can do? We're not going to be a playoff team anyway. I wouldn't want
Andy Dalton to know that we're not going to make the playoffs with him when you have the potential of getting something out of Sam Darnold, you know?
I just with Nagy, I don't think that there's any room left for developing young quarterbacks. I just think that
But why not take a old quarterback instead of a 33-year-old quarterback?
They're trying to save their jobs, Steven. Like Nagy, especially, like they're coaching for their jobs this season. Like
they are.
Everything they do is for the benefit of this season. So I like operating under those circumstances. Yes, 100%. Like if they were in a new GM situation and they were just, getting things figured out, yes, Sam Darnold makes a lot of sense. But you got to think about Pace and Nagy's job basically.
I don't give a fuck about their jobs. I hope they get fired.
But that is the problem.
They're at the door.
I agree with Devin here. They made this decision because they have 1 year to be as successful as they possibly can. So right. What's the one thing you would do in their position?
And they chose Andy Dalton.
And they chose Andy Dalton, somebody with leadership and skills and experience in the league to try to achieve that goal. And it's embarrassing because they're going to shoot themselves.
Like you guys were saying earlier,
they already kind of have.
He's not different than Nick Foles. They're pretty much the same. Nick Foles actually has won something in his life.
That's true.
Spend that $10 million elsewhere if you're trying to save your fucking job. Like, Andy Dalton's not going to be a savior.
I do think it's funny because Andy Dalton has no one to throw to on this team. He doesn't even have a complete offensive line.
Allen Robinson, he's gone. Allen Robinson's not going to sign that franchise tag.
You got what, Cole Kmet to throw to on this team? Come on, man. That's one guy.
I feel so bad for Allen Robinson.
Robinson, no one really knows what he's going to do. He hasn't indicated that he's going to sign or he's not going to sign. There's really no telling. He doesn't seem to be pissed off. He's not saying anything about it.
Yeah, silence is stronger than words at this point.
He's not an outspoken guy, though.
He's probably not happy about it. I mean, nobody wants to be franchise tagged. I mean, that's ridiculous to assume that someone's okay with it. But I think I could see the Bears working out a deal with him, especially if we're talking about.
I wouldn't want him to be here.
If we release Kyle Fuller, that defense is going to be bad. We don't have any corners if we release Kyle Fuller, and that's the only way I see us getting enough cap room to sign Robinson.
That's where the rebuild starts.
Kyle Fuller has a $20 million cap hit right now.
Yeah,
he does.
Save like $11 million if you cut him.
Deal throughout the years. Yeah.
Kai, could you imagine if the Bears somehow were to trade like a Khalil Mack, a Kyle Fuller, or like an A-Rob because they franchise tagged him, they could still do that for draft capital, or
they'll probably trade Robinson since he's tagged.
But I'm saying they need to put that stuff together, and that's where they should go up and try to get a Zach Wilson, or you gotta do something with someone, man. I mean,
it's tough, man.
This does not change anything for them, and they're just sticking. They just signed the resignation letters. That's what they just fucking did.
They didn't get any better with the Andy Dalton signing, that's for sure. And I also think that when you have a guy that's franchise tagged who hasn't indicated or signed that tag yet, the team that's trading him loses an awful lot of leverage in trade negotiations. So you're not going to get anything near what you should for a guy like Allen Robinson.
Not at all.
So I would say maybe a third-round pick, for a guy like him. That's what Jarvis Landry got traded for, I remember. Did Beckham Jr. even fetch a first-round pick? I think he might have, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I forgot what that trade was.
Yeah, but
I think he did.
The bottom line is we're not going to get anything of significance if we do end up trading Allen Robinson. We're better off.
Well, we're not going to be able to afford him without losing a good player because there's just no cap. So I'll take a fucking third for him. Like at this point, like, God, it's just so. It's a fucking muck.
It's a dumpster
shit that's going on.
And you know what? Keeping Pace was a huge mistake because with him realizing that his job is on the line, he is going to be mortgaging more and more of the future to try to win with this broken core that he built, and it's going to put us further and further back the more assets we trade. And that's why if we do end up trading assets for anybody other than like a quarterback draft pick, I don't see us doing anything in the next couple of years even.
I got a scenario for you. Tell me if this would be enough for Ryan Pace to save his job. All right, so say we trade up, get like a Mac Jones, someone like that, or like a Trey Lance. And during the first half of the season, Dalton he's garbage. They're already out of the playoffs. But Jones or that young QB comes in and they perform like pretty well. like at an all-star level if it were to be for a full season. With him being attached to that quarterback, would that be enough to save his job?
Yes. 100%. If you find a young quarterback that is able to come in and beat a veteran like a Dalton, and shows true promise, that's enough to save their job. 100%. I don't think that that's the route that they're going, though, Steven. I really think that the Andy Dalton signing signifies that they've taken care of the quarterback position, unless Trey Lance is there. If Trey Lance drops to 20, which some people think he might, some people think that this guy is the next Pat Mahomes, and some guys are a little more questioning about his ability because of him coming from a small school, and he didn't play last year. He opted out of the COVID season. So I don't actually know if it was him or the whole school opted out and couldn't play because they're just a small school. But in any situation, I could definitely see that scenario panning out because Trey Lance may end up falling. Do I think he'll fall? No. And do I think the Bears are planning on taking a quarterback? No.
So
I wish they were.
I think they're going to take a quarterback. I don't know if they can take an offensive lineman if they fucking stay there.
I like our offensive line outside of the tackle positions. I think the interior is pretty good. We got Whitehair. I think Mustafa should be our starting center next year. We got Whitehair. We got Daniels coming back. And outside of that, you need two tackles. We signed Fetty because he played well towards the end of last year against some bad defenses. So okay, $5 million on a guy, that's okay. I can live with that. But we still have a gaping hole at left tackle. I do not want to see Leno in a starting Bears uniform next year. For God's sake, please no Leno and please no Massey. Maybe if you keep both of them, I don't know why they would because they both make a huge amount of money, but if they do keep them, maybe they have a competition for that open tackle position, and the guy that's no good gets released, something like that.
I think Massey's cut, but I think they keep Leno.
They still have both of them on the roster as we speak, which is crazy to me because they're talking about releasing Kyle Fuller, and they haven't even talked about.
And it would suck because you could save $7 million to cut Charles Leno.
Yeah, me and Steven went over it. What was it, 6.5 for Massey and 7 for Leno, something like that.
It's a lot of money.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But on a brighter note, Kyle Long signed a contract with the Chiefs. I'm happy for him to be on a good team that's going to be a playoff team.
He signed with the Chiefs. I just was news to my ears. I must have missed that the other day.
It happened 2 hours ago.
Oh my Lord! Good for that guy. I hope he wins a ring.
He was just on the radio.
I'm kind of liking the Chiefs. I'm kind of rooting for the Chiefs now, man.
I was listening to 670 the other day, and they had Kyle Long come onto the show as they do every now and then, and it's just not. The guy doesn't have a lot of nice things to say about Matt Nagy. We'll just say that.
He is not a fan of Matt Nagy.
He's not a fan of Matt Nagy, and he kind of took some responsibility for that relationship deteriorating. He said that there's things he could have handled better, but I don't know, man. The guy was on the Chicago Bears his whole career, and he never seemed to be all that happy about it. So I completely agree with Steven's sentiment. Good for him. I hope he wins the Super Bowl in Kansas City.
Yeah, great dude, definitely. Hard worker.
Well, so he had all those injury issues, but he had the full year to take off and recover his body. Reports are that he's shredded or whatever the fuck it said, but I think he'll come back and have a really good year.
I hope so.
It'll be good to see him. The Chiefs also signed that center from the Patriots.
Yeah,
one of the best centers out there. Holy fuck, the rich just keep on getting richer, dude.
I think the Chiefs have figured out that if they protect Pat Mahomes the best that they can, then good things are probably going to happen.
Yeah.
I can't say that if Pace were the GM of that team that would be the prerogative, but I'm glad the Kansas City GM has that figured out at least, that football games are won and lost on the line, unless your quarterback's Andy Dalton, of course. And at that point, it doesn't really fucking matter who's on your team.
What do you guys think about the Patriots spending spree?
I'm not surprised, really.
I think Belichick.
They're just trying to fill holes.
Belichick's a little emasculated after watching his quarterback basically give him the finger and go to Tampa Bay and win a Super Bowl without him. I think we learned a lot about the Belichick-Brady relationship right there. Not only did Gronk come out of retirement so that he could play for not the Patriots, but he got Antonio Brown to come over. Who else did he get? Was Leonard Fournette on the team before Brady was there?
No, I think it was just
Rojo, Fournette.
Right?
Fournette joined on later.
All these really great available weapons came together to come and play with Brady, and then we see what happens. Belichick would refuse for the longest time to spend money on the offense when Brady was there. So I'm like I said, I think he wants to kind of show that that he's still a good coach and he wants to win something this year. They re-signed Newton, and then they went on that huge spending spree. And maybe you guys can tell me the players they signed because I'm not actually familiar with exactly who they signed.
They got Judon from Baltimore. He's
a Smith,
bowler. Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. They signed 2 of the top tight ends.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they signed a lot of good players.
They signed Hunter Henry too.
Yeah, they signed him today.
Oh my goodness.
So they got defensive players and tight ends. It sounds like.
Well, last year their whole 5 guys on defense fucking opted out. So they got all them guys coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they're going to be better.
Yeah.
Dude,
they might give the Bills a run for their money.
I don't know about that. That's a little much.
For having Cam Newton as their quarterback, they played pretty well.
Cam Newton was
as a team
last year, but
he did suck last year.
They had some surprising games. I remember that one game where they beat the San Diego Chargers 45-0 or something crazy like that. That was just wow. Good for them.
We'll see you.
Now the NFC.
Go ahead, Steven.
The NFC West will be interesting. The Cardinals, they're making moves.
They're signing everybody.
They got Rodney Hudson, the center from the Raiders.
Yep.
He is an absolute stud. They also got AJ
I'm glad
Green.
he's out of the Raiders system finally. He's been a good student for a while.
So the Cardinals got AJ Green, Rodney Hudson, and they got JJ Watt this year. I think they signed someone else, but I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But dude, that receiving core is gonna be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, they got Kyler Henry. They got
that's crazy though.
They got Kyler throwing to him too, and that's gonna be fun. He's gonna have a breakout year. Kyler Murray.
If you have DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green and you don't have a breakout year, I mean, they might walk from him if he doesn't. Jeez, man, that's crazy.
Arizona's got to protect him, and they got to shore up their defense a little bit. And yeah, that team can be something to be reckoned with. I mean, 2 outstanding weapons in Nuke and now AJ Green. I mean, wow, that's going to be a fun offense to watch. And they got a good center. You guys said they got good protection for him now.
Yeah.
Wow, Arizona's going to be fun. They're a good young team.
Yep, that NFC West is going to be fun to watch.
Teams, the Colts, the Cardinals, the Chargers, I think are going to be much better this year with the new coach.
Chargers will be better.
They just signed. Chargers just signed Corey Linsley, the All-Pro center from the Packers.
All these centers.
So now he's going to get some more protection, and Linsley and Bulaga, both Packers players, so they have that connection. If they can get Herbert some protection, that's going to be a fun team to watch too, because they had a lot of injuries last season. Team.
They got Keenan Allen there. He's a fantastic, underrated wide receiver in my opinion.
He reminds me a lot of Allen Robinson.
He seems to make every catch if you put it in the area where he's at. It's incredible.
Who's the big tall guy they got?
I would love to see Allen Robinson with a top 10 quarterback. I mean, this guy looks good with crap for his quarterback.
I know, dude.
Imagine him with a Tom Brady, man. He would be looking.
He'd be a top 5.
He'd be a top 5 receiver. He'd all of a sudden be a household name.
Maybe Robinson goes to Chargers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what if he went to the Chargers?
That'd be nasty.
That would be nasty.
I don't think
Justin Herbert going to A-Rob. Oh my goodness.
It's unfortunately not in Robinson's court. You know, if I was ever a GM, I would always make that decision on a moral stance. Is it morally acceptable for me to tag this guy? Given what's happened in his career and where we are as a franchise, it's just the franchise tag just makes things so much murkier than they have to be. Yes, 50-50 chance says Robinson doesn't sign that or report to training camp because he's pissed, and he has every right to. These guys only have a short window to try to make an exorbitant amount of money with their bodies that they've tuned their whole life. You know, If he's risking injury, he goes out and tears another ACL next year, he's not going to get that big contract. He's going to get another 4-year, $16 million deal with somebody. It's not fair to him.
By the way, the Chargers have like $33 million in cap space right now. That would be fucking
that's a well-run
team to the Chargers.
Them, the Colts, and Arizona are just really well run as football teams.
Yeah, that would be nuts. Also, another big one we didn't talk about was not really a huge one, but Corey Davis went to the Jets. Is that a big note?
No.
Have they even hired a head coach?
Somebody worked today.
That guy from San Francisco.
Oh, Salam. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
a fucking coach I want, dude. Jesus Christ. Matt Nagy is just, ugh.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Bears didn't fire Matt Nagy and Pace like 2 seasons.
They should have fired him this year.
This year was
about, man.
Everyone knows they shouldn't do it.
They have ownership wrapped around their finger because we have a great atmosphere. You know,
they're doing though. By doing that,
we have a great atmosphere. All right, look what you're doing to the fucking fan base. It's a great atmosphere. We're all screaming with fucking pitchforks.
Right, they're not acting in the best interest of the Bears long term. They're acting in the best interest of trying to save their skins,
save their ass.
Yeah.
So that's not good for the franchise. Anything short of a deep playoff run this year is going to be looked on very poorly by Bears fans. Let's be honest. They don't have the team. They don't have the skill. They don't have the quarterback. They don't have the horses. If you don't have the horses, you don't win the race, man.
But it's like if their contract is up this year, and if you're gonna let Nagy and Pace go after this year, why not just get rid of them now?
Exactly. They must really believe that they're gonna actually turn this team around.
Because Devin, like you were saying earlier, like they're just gonna trade all your future assets and shit. So it's like
and that you know what? It's not gonna mean anything because we're not gonna win a Super Bowl this year.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they gave another year for those two guys, and that's once again a ridiculous idea because they're gonna throw away, like Devin just said, how many future years? But there's still that rumbling thing of Ted Phillips possibly retiring. I wonder if it's having some effect on it as well.
That's not going to happen.
Maybe they're just going to clear house next year and they're all three gone. Because if that happens, holy shit, that would be nice.
They use the excuse of the coronavirus, like, oh, well, it's COVID season. Like, let's give them another opportunity. We don't want to spend more money. We don't want to fire you and then pay two guys, which, okay, whatever. Like, that makes sense. But you guys forgot. They fought through adversity and they collaborate. They collaborate. Why would they do that collaboration, man? Great collaboration.
Hey, if I could just bridge off.
Someone needs to go to the game next year and go best collab equals worst team, or maybe I don't even know, best team for sarcasm. Some dumb shit like that. Because
I'm going for the Chargers.
I respect the question and I appreciate the question for you asking it. Next question. Yeah, no, it's just a really quick bridge off of something we're both saying. It goes beyond just mortgaging draft picks for trying to trade up this year. It's not considering the trade to trade down maybe in the second round to get a couple more picks. They're not going to do things like that because they know that they have to get the best available players in the draft this year that are going to help now. Like if there's trades that come along like, hey, you want to move back from 25 spots? We'll give you a second round pick for next year. There's no way they're going to make that trade, even though they absolutely should, And that's what bothers me the most is those things aren't even being considered right now when really that's what we should be doing is trading back for more picks. We don't have enough assets to fill all these holes, man.
They're delirious right now. They're thinking it's like a chicken with its head cut off. They're not thinking.
Interest. They aren't.
Oh, no, not at all.
Their own interest. That's the problem here. So that's 100%. Where the Andy Dalton signing comes from, in my opinion. But I could be wrong, I guess.
The Bears need as general manager. They need to watch. Someone needs to watch the movie Draft Day over there. Maybe George McCaskey needs to watch Draft Day and find a GM who's got balls like that guy.
Oh, Ryan Pace has balls. He traded up one spot to get Trubisky. That's balls.
Well, that's balls, all right. That's balls going the wrong direction, okay?
He tried to trade his entire roster for Russell Wilson.
We don't know that. I'm very
overall pick would like to select The guy from Clemson. Wait, who's the white guy? Mitch Trubisky. Yeah.
Who's the white guy?
You know, that argument gets louder and louder the more white quarterbacks that are no good they sign.
Yep.
No, here, answer me this. Who has more upside right now in your opinions? Tyrod Taylor or Andy Dalton?
I'd rather try Tyrod Taylor, to be honest with you.
Tyrod Taylor wasn't playing terrible before Justin Herbert came in and blew up the scene.
The one game he played.
You know, I don't know.
Let's look it up. Let's not go off a speculation.
I don't know how to say this, but
he played one game against the Bengals.
I'm taking Dalton over Tyrod Taylor.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, let's see what these stats look like. I'm just curious. I don't even know if he's been playing lately.
Not to mention his health.
Tyrod
Taylor's health factor is like on a different level. The guy's made of half glass.
Yeah, he didn't play. He played one game in 2020, one game in 2019, and a little bit more in 2018 with Cleveland, which that was a horrible team, but he still had 2 touchdowns against 2 interceptions.
I think he's been hurt every year of his career.
The problem here, though, is if you go back to 2017, Tyrod Taylor, which was his last full season, that was the last time he actually played a somewhat full season. He had 14 touchdowns against 4 interceptions and threw for 2,800 yards. Every other season after that was either 1 to 3 games.
Yeah.
The guy's got some upside, you know. I guess I could see how you're splitting hairs with the Andy Dalton, Tyrod Taylor, but just looking off that, I mean, you know, the guy's got more athleticism with his feet than Andy Dalton. I'm willing to bet that.
Oh, when he was starting, he was running for 400, 500 yards and multiple
And if
touchdowns.
we're going just off of what Nagy said, he said he wants a quarterback with athleticism. He needs a guy that can not only pass but run. And then we end up with Andy Dalton and Tyrod Taylor signs with someone else. It's weird. It's kind of weird. Never heard his name pop up even once.
Yeah.
As a Bears option. Not that I necessarily wanted to, but if we were going with Dalton, I would have wanted to hear his name, at least as a consideration. You know, sounds like another guy that we zoomed in on, kind of like Foles. It just turns out to be no good.
Agreed. Well, have we hit a home on the Bears subject or topic?
Yeah, is there any other
podcast? Because I feel like
I still have more steam to blow off, but I'll save some of that.
I think if I do it anymore, I might have to go vomit the toilet out there in the bathroom.
All right, well, I mean, moving on. Right around the corner is the start of the MLB season, and we're fucking right there. I'm so excited. I don't know about you guys, but fuck. I mean, Jock Peterson's been. I know it's spring training, but I'm excited to see Jock Peterson play. He's got 7 or 8 home runs right now.
Yep.
Oh, who was excited about Jock Peterson coming to the Cubs this year? I'm trying to think.
Fans love getting excited about spring training.
That's right. It was me. I was excited about Jock Peterson being on the. No. I would like to go back in the podcast because I know at some point I was all over Jock Peterson, and Steve was like, "Oh, he's okay. Like, we'll see what he does."
Yeah, he said we'll see.
Over spring training now.
We'll see,
but we'll see, and now he's hitting dingers.
It's also spring training, Brad.
I get it. It is only spring training.
AAA players.
That's fair. That's fine.
You don't fucking know.
It's fair. That's fine. I get you. But, I mean, looking pretty good in a Cubby.
I'm just saying it's exciting to have baseball back. We're going to start the season soon, and I'm just a baseball fan. I'm excited for baseball to come around again.
I hear what you're saying, but
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right.
The most Cubs thing I've ever heard you say, Brett. The evidence doesn't point to anything good happening, but I'm a Cubs fan. Yeah, there's actually room for
optimism. It's good when you're a Cubs fan, Devin. That's all I'm going to say. You got to join the right side, okay?
You know, I would, Brad, if the Cubs actually had a decent roster, not just a bunch of guys that go out there and can make tags without looking but strike out every other plate appearance. No, we got guys that at every single position are either the American League MVP or were a top prospect at one point. So, well,
top prospect.
I was going to say, it hasn't done much for you so far.
Well, we made the playoffs last year and actually won a game, so it's done more for us than it has you guys, that's for sure. Thank you for Eloy, by the way. He's turning out wonderfully.
I like how every single time we talk Cubs White Sox, you bring that up. Every single time. He just never gets over it. It's like the one thing.
Oh, yeah. Who does Quintana play for now? Is he even on a team?
Los
He's on the Angels.
Yeah, he went to... What was it?
He's on the Angels. He's with Joe
He's on the
Madden.
Angels. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, he went to the Angels so that he can be another 4.5 ERA pitcher for them.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because LA, if they could only find pitching, would probably be in the playoffs on Mike Trout's merits alone.
Right.
They've just completely wasted that man's career. They haven't wasted it yet, but they're pretty close to wasting.
Yeah, they're definitely getting there.
They're getting He's over 30 now. So.
All right, hang on. The New York Rangers are up 9-0 on Philly.
Right now.
9-0?
9-0.
That is a throttling. And who saw that coming? I mean, the Rangers have been playing like hot garbage this season so far.
Yeah, but then the fucking Islanders have been balling out.
Yeah, they just got beat by the Ovi and the Caps recently, but they
were on like a 10-game winning streak though.
Those Islanders, the Islanders and the Hurricanes, man. The teams as when we were kids that used to be like the biggest shit shows of the NHL for the longest time. Buffalo is still a shit show, but a lot of teams in the East have finally figured out how to put a team.
Before we get
to hockey, is there anything in the White Sox that you want to go over, Devin, that you've seen so far?
So here's one thing that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. So the Sox, for like it seems like forever now, the last 3 spring trainings, they have this catcher named Yerman Mercedes. He comes up from AAA to play spring training with the White Sox every single year. And just like Jock Peterson is doing right now, the guy lights it up. He hits 5 to 6. I think last year he hit like 9 home runs or something ridiculous like that. He's always been a good bat. And we got this guy on the Rule 5 draft from the Nats. The problem is this guy is built like a bull. He's a big fella. He's not the best fielder. He's got a good arm from behind the plate. But other than that, you're pretty much looking at Chuck E. Cheese if you're thinking about a catcher. He's a big fat guy. But the guy can hit. Now, the problem is we were going to have him as our backup catcher, but we have, let's see, there is Luke Roy, who has been looking really good in spring training, and the Sox staff actually likes his veteran ability to kind of frame pitches and stuff like that. So we got Luke Roy on a 1-year prove-it deal, can flip him between AAA and the majors. And we got Yerman, and we got Zach Collins, who was a former 2015, or no, I think it was 2016, 5th overall draft pick out of Miami. This guy has not panned out at really any level. He's always been, he hits for 240 with a lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts, and some home runs, like 20 to 25 home runs. Not the best defensive catcher. He's a left-handed bat, okay? This Yerman guy can hit the daylights out of the ball, but because he's not a 5th overall draft pick, I'm guessing that Zach Collins is going to end up getting that roster spot. And it bugs the crap out of me because we had guys on our team last year like Edwin Encarnacion and what's that right fielder's face who shouldn't be playing baseball anymore that we got from Mazzara. These guys should not have been on the team. Mercedes could have hit the daylights out of that ball, compared to these scrubs. And
has he played in the MLB yet?
This guy should be a DH. He's going to be a DH, and he can fill in at catcher if there's injuries. But the Sox, because they value draft position and pitch framing, the Luke Roys and the Zach Collins have a better chance of beating him out. This guy deserves to be playing in the major leagues. He hits the baseball.
Does he have any major league experience?
He has a few games. They called him up last year for 1 game, and I think he flew out deep to center field, on the warning track, and is only at that. He was like a pinch hitter or something. He hit the ball pretty well, I remember, but it was a fly out as it turned out to be.
Devin, I'm just gonna say this. Fuck you. You know why I'm saying fuck you? Because your one issue is your backup fucking catcher. Get over yourself. Your guys' team's fucking stacked.
Here's what's fun.
If you're gonna blow a fucking a vein from your backup catcher, I'm gonna come over there and strangle you with my fucking hands.
Oh yeah, here Arrieta's top speed on his fastball is like 87 miles an hour right now. That's gotta suck.
Devin, I don't think I've ever heard a fan base get more upset about your backup catcher position than White Sox fans. I'm telling you.
Our DH spot
spoiled little shits.
Is already taken by a guy by the name of Andrew Vaughn, and he's the best hitter to come out of college since probably Babe Ruth, and that's just my guess, as an expert baseball fan.
My backup catcher isn't your Mercedes. Wow.
Okay, Steven, I'm just going to look up on the schedule when the Cubs play the White Sox, and then I'll be sure to have a lot of cocaine ready for that.
Oh!
Just to enhance the euphoria of the Sox.
Fueling the fighting that's going to be going on there.
The second year in a row,
flying. It's your back. It's
all these home runs that are going to be flying out of the ballpark off of Eloy Jimenez's bat. Oh man!
Enjoy the great team, but don't get that upset about your catcher, dude. Crap.
Oh man, I respect the Cubs, but again, you guys, if you win over 85 games this year, I will hand you all of the money in my wallet.
All right.
85 games, you're gonna hand me all. Well, that's probably what is it, $2 in there.
There's at least $5 in my wallet.
Like, that's a pretty shitty bet, so there can't be a lot of money in that wallet there, Devil.
I have $5.
I am 12. He hands up to
the Cubs.
Yeah, the Sox have a distinct talent advantage over the Cubs. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No shit, obviously, with depth and everything, yeah.
Unless you guys are
like up-and-coming players here. I mean, you are what the Cubs were about 6 years ago.
Yeah, we're the 2015 Cubs.
Exactly, that's exactly what you are.
2014 or 15? What?
15.
Sorry, I know the other White Sox fans have felt like this, but like, do you wish the Sox spent more money, like on a better right fielder, like a George Springer? He didn't get that much money. Like, would you like? That would definitely like enhance your chance of winning. Are you mad that they didn't break the bank more?
I don't. I'm not mad because the problem with Springer is he's a right-handed bat who strikes out at a decent clip. The Sox have enough guys that do that. We need to be able to have balance in the lineup because we do face a lot of right-handed pitching in our league. The Cleveland Indians just seem to manufacture right-handed pitchers out of a factory. I don't know where all these guys come from, but their pitching staff's always fantastic, and they're always a bunch of flame-throwing righties that the Sox can't seem to hit. We need left-handed bats, and I think if we would have wasted all that money on Springer, I think we become a very one-dimensional team. We'll pound the daylights out of lefties, but righties we're going to have a problem. So that's why the Adam Eaton signing makes sense to me because he's a left-handed bat, and not only is he left-handed, the difference between him and Jock Peterson is he doesn't strike out at a ridiculous clip. Yes, Jock Peterson will have more RBIs. And yes, Jock Peterson will have more hits in general probably, but Eden puts the ball in play. And even if he's not getting a hit, he's putting the ball in play and not striking out, like with 2 outs or 1 out with the guy on second and third, right? He's getting like an infield ground out, or he's putting the ball into the outfield. He knows how to barrel up, and he's quick. We can put him in that second hole right after Tim Anderson. I think the lineup would be great if we do Anderson, Eaton, Abreu 3, and then we put Madrigal in that 9 hole as like a secondary leadoff man, so to speak. That's a very dangerous lineup. You gotta vary up baseball lineups with some lefties and righties, even if the better option is a right-handed batter. It's just with the makeup of our team right now. Let's see, Madrigal's right-handed, Tim Anderson right-handed, Abreu right-handed, Moncada's a switch. Our catcher is a switch. And all of our outfield, except for Eaton, is right-handed. So it's a vast majority. Andrew Vaughn, our DH, this year is right-handed as well. Too many right-handed bats. That's why right-handed pitchers were really giving us fits last year. So that's why I agree with the Adam Eaton signing, and instead of getting Peterson or the guy you mentioned from Houston.
Are you worried about the Twins at all?
I am very worried about the Twins. You know, they just signed our closer, Colomé, which I think Colomé is a great closer. I don't know why the Sox didn't value him higher, but he's good. They did re-sign Nelson Cruz. We all know what he does to White Sox pitching. He's the Twins and White Sox are going to duel it out this year big time. You know, the Indians just got rid of Francisco Lindor, so they're not as big of a threat. That division is going to be one of the easier divisions in baseball outside of the top 2. You know, the top 2 are going to duke it out largely. Now, to bounce off that a bit, it's a good point that you make. The divisions this year are going to be very, very interesting because the Toronto is going to be better. Yeah, Toronto is a developing young team. They're going to start making some noise in that Yankee division. Yep. And you got Tampa Bay, you got New York in there, so that's a division I'm going to love to see. Also, the NL Central, you know. Like, I think the Cubs and Cardinals are clear and away the better teams. I just cannot take the Reds seriously, no matter how good their team is, because it's the Reds.
Yeah.
But they could be there as like a 500-ish team, stealing some wins away from Cardinals and Cubs. Pirates, terrible.
Yeah.
I think that's given. Does anyone know how good Milwaukee's going to be? Are they competing this year?
I think they'll be like the same as the Cubs. I think they'll both go right around 500-ish.
I think the Central is a three-way race between the Cardinals, Brewers, and Cubs.
I want to give the edge slightly to St. Louis just because of the Arenado trade.
Yeah.
That Arenado trade is
100%. But I would say most teams are like in contention of making a playoff spot or winning the division.
Certainly, yeah.
Definitely the Cardinals are the favorite.
Those three-way races, man. It's the Yankee division, Cubs division, Sox division is only a 2-horse race.
Same
but
with
yeah,
the NL West. Let's say Padres and Dodgers.
Oh wow, yeah, that's going to be incredible. That's the best one yet.
Yeah.
That's the Padres have an unbelievable team, man. That is a really skilled baseball team, man. I can't wait to see the Dodgers and Padres duke it out this year. They're going to play a lot of games with each other.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be
one
exciting.
division that I think is kind of one division I think that's underrated is the NL East. I think all those teams have a chance to be. You got the New York Mets. They're a good team. The Atlanta Braves, the Phillies are always iffy, but they've got good players on their team. The Nationals, I think, will rebound. They're healthy now. And the Miami Marlins, who made the playoffs last year. Those are all good teams.
Those are all
They'll be competitive. I think the Miami's the worst team in that division, but like you said, I mean, they looked good last year with some of those young players stepping up, you know? You never really can account for how much a young player can affect a team, you know? Like the Sixto Sanchez is just an absolute beast.
Yeah,
that guy blows guys away.
And they got a good coach in Miami.
Yeah, he's the old Dodgers skipper. He's a good man.
Mattingly.
Mattingly's good. Yeah.
Well, the Phillies got Dan Girardi, or not Dan Girardi. What's Joe Girardi as their manager? I think, right?
Oh, they did.
Yeah, Joe Girardi.
I believe they got Joe Girardi.
Yeah. Oh, yep, shit. They do. Yeah, he's. I like him. He's obviously he knows how to manage. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that.
The Braves are stacked too.
Did the Phillies re-sign Real Muto?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. They needed to do that. I don't know. I really like that Mets team right now.
Yeah.
You know, James McCann is a good catcher.
He's good.
You know? He figured out how to swing the bat, and he's a dangerous catcher. You know, he's going to help that. He's just going to make guys like DeGrom and Thor. Thor has never thrown to a good framing catcher. They've always just had shitty catchers there, especially on the
Marcus Stroman too.
Stroman, right? I mean, their pitching staff's very much elevated by a guy like James McCann, even if he doesn't hit, which I think he will. I like the Mets right now. I really do. Well, Lindor is going to be great too as a switch hitter. You know, makes that.
I was about to say. I was just laughing at the fact that, when you brought up the Mets, the first thing you said was McCann instead of Lindor.
Well,
Lindor's going to be fucking awesome. I can't wait to see it fucking play.
I only say that because of how bad Mets catching has been. Like, I mean, remember that whole Thor thing? Like how, what's his actual name? I keep calling
Noah
him
Syndergaard.
Noah Syndergaard, yeah.
Syndergaard and Wilson something. Like
Ramos.
They had a good Ramos. He's a great hitting catcher, but he can't frame for shit. And Syndergaard was sick of throwing to this guy to the point where it got leaked to the press that he was trying to get Mickey to like switch up his catchers, and Mickey wouldn't do it because the other guy just can't hit. So it's like, now they got a guy in McCann that can not only hit the ball, but he's going to be able to frame pitches and call good games behind the plate. So I think that has a bigger impact just because Lindor he wasn't that great last year. He hit like 250 or something like that. Granted, it was for Cleveland. It's not a very inspiring team to be playing for, but
a lot of people struggled. I think he's going to rebound. He's going to have more protection for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good point. Protection in the lineup helps.
All right, Pete Alonso, over or under 40 home runs.
Oh,
I'm going over.
Question.
Over.
He's going over. I'm gonna go. That's a tough question. That's a good over under. How many did he have last year? He had a bad year last year, didn't he? I know
it's only like 60 games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, right? Was it only 60 games?
Yeah, last year they played 60 games.
Only 60 games.
I'm gonna go. I think he does bounce back. Man, it's gonna be right at 40. I would say roughly.
He hit 16 home runs in 60 games.
That's crazy.
He's gonna hit over 40 next year.
Yeah, I would have a feeling he's gonna do.
And the year before, in like an actual
162
season,
game, yeah.
in an actual,
he hit like almost 50, didn't he?
He hit
like 49?
53.
53. Holy crap!
And they deadened the baseball slightly, probably because MLB said they were going to do that.
Yeah, I'd take the Panda with the over 40. I mean,
I think over 40 is a good bet on that.
So those 16 home runs over a 162 game schedule would be 43 home runs.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's just if he does what he did in the pandemic
last year, and that was like kind of.
And now he has
somewhat had
he's on a team now.
He's got Lindor in the lineup now, so
a little motivation.
Yeah,
I can't wait for baseball to start. We got the second year in a row. Finally, we got two good teams in Chicago. The divisions are winnable. Let's go! I'm ready for baseball.
That's what I was saying. Then you're giving me shit when we first started talking about baseball.
I'm just still stuck on the Andy Dalton news. I'm sorry. I'm still
fired up.
Everyone's fired about the fucking Andy Dalton news.
It's gonna take me a while to forgive the Bears for that one.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any rioting going on downtown today, man.
Oh, everybody's pissed off on Twitter.
Let's go riot, Brad. That's a good idea.
Let's do it, man. I'll break out my pitchfork out of the closet over here. We'll light some matches.
We'll just go stand outside of Hallis
Hall. Some JMO going downtown, chucking bottles into like some stores. Let's do it.
Let's find out where Ryan
Pace Soldier Field.
Burn his house down.
I'm game. Just let's cut that out of the podcast, so the cops don't come knocking on our doors. No one be like, yeah, we heard that.
Hey, any other notes on baseball before we move on?
MetLife football rules.
I think we covered it.
I don't know if we can touch on hockey just for a second, but
let's do it.
That's what I was planning on doing.
Yeah, the Hawks really showed their true colors in this recent stretch. Everyone had a hunch that they would. Their stretch of teams that they started off with was Tampa Bay, Dallas, and then Florida, and now we're playing Tampa Bay again. So we're incurring a lot of losses, as was expected. But what's bothering me is not – we looked competitive against Tampa Bay at times. Mm-hmm. We didn't look that competitive against Dallas. I don't know. That first game we lost, we were not in. In the second game, we only had 16 shots on goal, and we somehow beat them 4-1. We didn't look good against Florida at all. We had it tied in that second game. They beat us pretty handily in the first one.
Dude, they had the lead in all these games. They've been giving up so many leads lately.
They're not insulated. The D is still very much leaky. The forwards are good though. I think our forward group is solid.
I agree. I don't have too much expectations. Like I said, this season. Like, look at our roster. Like, when push comes to shove, this is just not a playoff team. It's fun to watch. Like, I've had more fun watching this team than other teams in recent years. But we got the trade deadline in less than a month, so. I don't know what would you do as Stan Bowman in this situation? Like, are you trying to add somebody to try to make a playoff spot, or are you going to try to sell off the pieces that you have and maybe accumulate some assets?
I would treat this like a team that is possibly playoff bound, but maybe not. Like, it really depends on how we do in the second half of the season. After the trade deadline. So for that reason, I'm standing pat unless I can trade somehow a bad contract or someone's offering me multiple first round picks for Duncan Keith. I'm not even entertaining a deal right now. I mean, this team is good enough to maybe make a playoff. If we get into the playoffs, in hockey anything can happen, especially with a team that can score like the Blackhawks can. It's just usually in hockey, defense wins championships. It's kind of the same thing in football. So for that reason, I'm standing pat. Don't trade your draft picks. Don't trade your young players. Just hold on. Let's try to make this defense better for next year, though, because our defense is too leaky. The forward group is good, though. Especially we got Nylander and Doc coming back. I mean, this forward group is fucking good.
Hell yeah.
We got Kurashev, Hagel, who look like they're going to be mainstays at this point. Kubalik is a keeper. Who else do we have that's looked good? I mean, there's three. DeBrincat's having a much better year than he did last year. He can score again. He's got to be playing with Kaner, it looks like. Here's one thing that you guys might disagree with me on. I do not like Ryan Strome one bit. I think he's slow. I don't think he's able to make plays in small areas like everyone tells me he's able to. He can do well if you put him on a power play and you give him time and space. If he's got enough time and space, he can make plays. But his face-off percentage is in the toilet. It has been ever since we traded for him. This guy is a winger. He can't win draws, and he's not fast enough to be a centerman. What's been helping DeBrincat, I think, is Pierre Suter being our second-line center or first-line center. I think he's actually our first-line center right now. Pierre Suter has made a big difference. The guy's quick, and he's actually got the ability to finish and make plays, at a high speed. So, like I said, I think our forward group is good. We need more disruptive defensemen like a Duncan Keith, even though I just said, in the same breath, I would trade him for draft picks. But we need better defensemen, not just little guys like Bowden and Mitchell that, are going to get knocked around behind our net, but can score goals in the O-zone. We need more disruptive defensemen, in my opinion.
So what do you do with Connor Murphy?
Connor Murphy.
Let him get taken by Seattle.
He's gonna get probably taken. He hasn't been as bad as in years past. I used to be a Murphy hater. I'm more of a believer nowadays than I have been in the past. Just because he's got that disruptive ability, like in the O-zone, he's not going to get pushed around. He's gonna win the physical battles. That's important in hockey.
I've seen on the rumor mill lately that the Blackhawks may potentially be adding bad contracts. Well, they already have all this LTIR space built up. I mean, if I'm the Hawks and I can take on like a bad contract, and acquire like a first round pick or a good young prospect, I'd be interested in entertaining that. And if you can get a team that's desperate to get rid of a bad contract, I'd fucking do that.
How cool? How much you willing to take on though? That's kind of the problem. Like you don't want to take on a bad contract that's going to last 3 years and it's going to kind of.
Well, like Louis Eriksson, for example, we have $6.9 million of cap space. Like, say you have a team like Vancouver and they're willing to trade like a good prospect or a first round pick. I would be interested in entertaining that because you're just going to acquire more capital.
I don't know how many years are on his deal that are left.
I'm pretty sure he's got one more after this. I'm pretty sure he's got.
I would definitely entertain Louis.
The ideal situation for a situation like that is less than 6.9, obviously, because that's the cap hit for us right now. That's our space. And a team that's willing to give up a young player. Wouldn't it be cool if they were to do that, take on Louis Eriksson's contract from Vancouver? Because Vancouver loves signing free agents every year, right? So they're going to try to make some cap space to sign more free agents so that they can trade them for bad contracts later. But if we were to trade for Louis Eriksson and let's say they got a 20-year-old kid in the AHL right now who they don't feel like is ready to play on their team for like the next year or two, but you trade them to a team like the Blackhawks who are prioritizing player development this year, they're going to put them on that team right away. Yep. Wouldn't that be cool if we were to get better while also taking on that long-term reserve contract, if he's making that already, but he's not because he's like a 20-year-old? Like if they get a guy that they drafted in the top 10, like back in 2017 or something like that, but he's not like really like earning a spot on their team. If he had one given to him, like on the Blackhawks, and then he just like is able to settle into Jeremy Colleton's like young system philosophy, that'd be so cool. I think that's the best case scenario. We trade for a guy who's just supposed to be like that young throw-in that sweetens the deal for us taking on that cap hit. And then we just throw him on our second line, and he turns out to be this great player. We unlock that player because he just needs an opportunity. That's a great scenario for the Blackhawks. I don't blame them one bit.
Steven, you got the guy in mind right now who you're thinking of, who they should trade for out of Vancouver?
I think Vancouver is a great example.
You're going to say Raggerty,
they're a team to do something.
No. It's not Rafferty. Come on, think about it. Yeah, Ali Ovielli.
Yeah, he's kind of a bust.
He's kind of a bust, but like,
give me a first round pick.
That's a little bit of a winger. I'd rather take the pick in that scenario. But I was just thinking, if you want to take young, fast, defenseman, like he's on the mind. But Vancouver's got plenty of prospects. So yeah, I would definitely entertain that.
On another note, just going back to the Central Division, the Florida Panthers right now are one of the best teams in the NHL, dude. They are absolutely rolling.
Yeah, that's a well-coached team. I wish we
had coached by a Hall of Fame coach.
I thought of this last week. So Joe Quenneville is obviously one of the top candidates to win the Jack Adams this year, and rightfully so.
Oh,
this dude did not get a sniff during his stint with the Blackhawks, and I don't understand why. He was one of the best coaches in the league for 9 years and never won a single Jack Adams
He's
award.
old, Steven. He's old. He doesn't.
He's old. He's old school. He's not new school. It's all about offense nowadays.
He only has
John Tortorella fucking wins Jack
He only has 3 Stanley Cups.
We have the best winning percentage in a season, and he didn't win the Jack Adams in 2012 or 13. Because
the team was so good. It wasn't Joel Quenneville. That same BS.
Bruce Cassidy won last year, like 2 years ago, and his team was the best team in the NHL. Like,
I don't know.
Did not make any sense to me that Joel Quenneville didn't win a Jack Adams trophy with the Blackhawks.
Seems like Joel Quenneville just, once again, it seems to not be getting the respect he deserved for being the second winningest coach in NHL history, by the way.
We traded
might go down and close in at number 1 at some point in time.
And Panarin. And then fired Quenneville.
Joel Quenneville. Those moves right there deserve fucking firing for.
Dude, I love watching that Panthers squad right now, though. Barkov is unreal.
Yeah.
Yep. Everyone knew that he was too. It's just he needed a coach that actually knew how to put a team together. You know, it's not just him though. Like guys like Verhaeghe, the guy
he came out of nowhere this year.
Dude, Ekblad's already got 10 goals this year.
Yeah. Well, Ekblad's a solid player.
What happened was we got swept by the Predators after winning the Western Conference one year. And so Bowman freaked out. Remember, he had all those quotes, "This isn't acceptable for Blackhawks hockey. There will be changes." And all he did was trade Hjalmarsson for a shitbox of a defenseman at the time in Murphy, who has just now started playing well, and he traded Panarin for Brandon Saad. It's just Brandon Saad is not as good as Artemi Panarin, no matter how you look at it. Okay, that might have been a reaction to the Marian Hossa retiring because we needed that two-way player in our system or whatever. Brandon Saad is not Marian Hossa or Artemi Panarin, and the other players that came in that deal are not on the team anymore. Forsberg was a disaster, that goalie that we got from them. An absolute disaster. He couldn't stop a beach ball. It was that was a joke. Okay? And then we're losing games now that we don't have as good of a team, and they fire Quenneville because he's not playing guys like Yoki Haru, who's putting goals in his own net on Buffalo.
Yes, he's not ready.
Yoki Haru is not good, dude. He looks.
Yeah, I wasn't really the biggest fan of Yoki Haru either. I mean,
I was when we traded him. I was honestly, I was wrong about that. I was pissed when we traded Yoki Haru for Nylander straight up. I thought Yoki Haru was a blossoming defenseman. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, I was very glad.
He's playing in Buffalo.
He's playing in Buffalo
right now.
I keep hearing you guys say that, but these people like Sam Darnold and like all these guys, they're part of the losing. They're not like the exception. They're part of the losing.
Yeah, but Jack Eichel's part of the losing. And you say he's a bad player?
He's not
comparing him to Jack.
I got a great.
He's not playing right now. He's hurt.
Imagine you playing.
But they wouldn't be that much better with Jack Eichel right now. There's six.
He only played like 6 games so far this year. I don't know if you could say that.
Devin, imagine if you were playing
for the shittiest team in the league right now. They're awful, dude.
I feel bad for Jack Eichel, dude. I feel terrible. Like poor Jack Eichel, man. He's a skilled player playing on a horrible team, horrible franchise.
We got to get him on the Hawks.
Yeah, I heard a rumor mill that they were entertaining that deal, that they were talking about the Hawks trying to go after him, and I'm like, I don't know how we're going to afford that.
That's not going to happen. You have to trade Kirby Dach to do that. But the Sabres are 6-18-4 right now.
And they got some talented guys.
Better lately too.
They got talented players. It's not like they suck.
Awful. They are so bad.
And you know what's funny? You know what's funny, boys? That team was trying to win a Stanley Cup this year. That's why Taylor Hall signed a 1-year deal to play for them.
I keep forgetting Taylor Hall's on that team. Holy shit.
Do you know how many goals Taylor Hall has this year, Brad? And bear in mind, he's played every game this year.
Oh, I have no idea.
1.
Holy shit.
He's had 1 goal, and he's played every game this year. Taylor Hall.
And we're talking about a former MVP, by the way. So
a former first overall draft pick
and first overall pick.
That team needs to blow it up. They just get rid of Dahlin, get rid of Eichel. Just like these, I feel bad for these guys because they're good players.
No, they don't need. They don't need to blow that up. They need to just.
They do.
They just need to move a couple people. Why you're gonna blow up all that talent?
What talent?
You
got
Are
8
you
wins.
fucking drunk?
Question: What?
Oh,
who is the
have another
biggest-
Guinness, buddy.
Dude,
Wait,
Jack
question,
Eichel
quick
deserves
question. Hold
better
on.
than to be in a shitty situation than
Hold
fucking
on. Just
Buffalo,
save that
dude.
thought.
It
Save
is
that
so
thought. Oh,
garbage.
Who's a better
The
joke?
amount of
in the
assets you can get for him is
Who's a
unreal.
bigger joke in the NHL right now? Buffalo. Okay, Buffalo's been bad since like before 2010, or Edmonton, a team that has
Buffalo.
the two best.
Buffalo.
Edmonton's been really bad for a long time.
Edmonton's been very bad, and the only reason they're not is because of 2 guys. So
Edmonton has the 2 best forwards in the NHL, arguably, and they're still bad.
That's what they got. They're not as bad as
They've
Buffalo.
been picking in the top
every
5
year.
for the last 11 years,
That's true.
and they're still bad. How is that even possible?
But they're a playoff team. They're in 3rd place right now. They're 18-30. The Buffalo Sabres are on a 12-game losing streak. They haven't made the playoffs since
that's not comparable.
2011.
Okay, well, I just think that Edmonton, with those 2 players, should be at the top of the West consistently. They got knocked out by the Blackhawks in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean,
and the year before that,
they're
they didn't
playing
even
a lot
make
better
it.
right now.
They've made the
They don't have any
playoffs.
pieces, man. They got no depth.
They are better.
Which is just
much
hard to
better be
believe with how many high draft picks that
Sabres
they've
fan.
accumulated. It seems improbable. Like Nugent Hopkins, nothing. He's
here's
a
the thing.
second line center at best. That's a
Here's
former
the thing.
first overall pick.
Here's the thing. The Sabres have been rebuilding for 9 years, and they still haven't made the playoffs.
Okay,
At least the Oilers have
Edmonton's been
won a
rebuilding for
playoff
11.
series. But Edmonton's made the playoffs. They're not rebuilding. They're getting
They've made the
mid-round
playoffs
draft picks.
twice.
That's better than what the Sabres are right now.
The Sabres have been
The
screwed
Sabres, I
over.
feel like, are closer than the Oilers, and that's what's sad about this whole situation.
The
Obviously
Sabres.
fucking not. They just lost 12 games in a row.
Oh no shit! So is it the coach? Is the style that he's implementing?
Players, they're garbage. Their defense sucks. They've got no
goalie.
goaltending whatsoever.
No goalie.
Ristolainen is fucking shit.
Is he?
He is.
Is he shit?
Jurgensen's and yes, Ristolainen is crap, Brad. You should have seen what Barzell.
I haven't watched a lot of Buffalo Sabres games this year. I'm just obviously because we don't have them on our channels here, and I don't have an NHL Network. But I mean, if you would have said that to me a year, 2 years ago, definitely can't say he ever sucks. All-star
Barzell
defenseman.
made
You
Ristolainen
got
like
Dahlin.
an American League hockey goalie. Ristolainen is no good. That whole defense is no good. Dahlin doesn't even look good right now, dude. It's a huge shit show in Buffalo right now.
Guess what? They're not that much of a shit show in Edmonton right now.
Well, in general, I think Edmonton's a bigger shit show just because they should be way better with the amount of talent that they have, but they're just not.
They
They're
just don't have
not
any talent.
Who?
Yep. It's just Buffalo, if you guys remember, in the lottery has screwed Buffalo over like 3 out of the last 4 years. The one year they got Dahlin with the first overall pick, that's the one year they didn't get screwed over by the lottery somehow. Every other year they've been screwed over. I mean, they were supposed to take McDavid first overall. They were the heavy favorites, and Edmonton won that lottery, so they took Eichel. There was another one.
Oh wow, that's such a bad player to get.
Well, remember Sam Reinhart? Like they weren't supposed to have third overall that year either. They were supposed to pick first overall. I don't remember who went first that year, but Sam Reinhart is nothing to be.
Yeah, that was Ekblad's year.
So Sam Reinhart is basically Ryan Strome. He looks slow. He looks like he's just kind of uninterested sometimes. It's God, man. I would hate to be a Buffalo Sabres fan. God damn.
I know that plus minus is kind of like a sketchy statistic, but dude, Rasmus Dahlin is a minus 27. Reinhardt
That
is
is
a minus
that
20.
is telling. That is actually very telling.
Is a minus.
When the whole team's sucking though, everyone's gonna have a minus, dude. The whole Blackhawks team had minuses. What was it, 2-3 years ago when they were that bad? Patrick Kane had a minus 15 or 17. It was crazy. Like they've never been minus players in their life, so I think that's kind of a sketcy stat to look at. Look, I mean, clearly the team is not bad. They're fucking bad. The whole team.
Here's the thing, Jeff Skinner.
But you can't tell me that Jeff Skinner, Taylor Hall, like all these good players are bad players.
Hey, fucking Brad, I swear
really
to quick.
God. Hey, Brad, Steven, remember?
He's $10 million. He's got 3 points in 25 games. He's making $9 million a season.
Remember when they
signed him 2 years ago and he had how many points? How many goals?
Can't get a word.
Oh, it was a bad contract signing for sure.
The Sabres are the biggest in hockey.
Do you guys remember when they signed Kyle Okposo to that massive deal?
I do remember Kyle Okposo.
Remember, what was your first reaction when you heard of that contract signing?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I was laughing at
that.
Too
many years. Way
too many years. For a
now
slow
Jeff
player.
Skinner is on the same type of deal.
Well, he got way too much money, first of all. Way too much.
Between the two of them, it's like 17 or 18 million in cap space. Just
100%.
between those two scrubs.
Damn.
And then you add Taylor Hall, who's only on a 1-year deal. I get it. He's making an exorbitant amount of money, though. They're just not good, man. Tear Buffalo down. I don't care how young the players are. Tear them down. They're not going to be good anytime soon with the guys that they have locked up.
Here's the thing. I don't trust that team. It's like the Bears. The Pagulas, they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. They've never had consistent coaching. They go through head coaches quicker than fucking players. Like they get coaches.
No, that's actually accurate. They
have
fired the most head coaches in the last 10 years.
Lindy Ruff was the coach there for a long, long time.
Yeah, back in the 2000s when they were fucking good.
Well, he was the coach for a long time.
The team on his back.
And ever since him, they've gone through a coaching carousel.
10 years. They've gone over so many coaches.
They've gone through probably the most. Come on, Devin.
Yeah, there's teams go through coaches. Vancouver's been through a lot of coaches too.
As you fucking should with the Sabres right now. They have gone through like 3 coaches in the past 5 years. That's insane.
There's teams that have done that.
A coach every year.
Yeah, but guess what? That's not the recipe for success.
No, it's not.
They got Ralph Kruger as their head coach right now. A guy that was the coach
got fired
when they were just an absolute shitstorm. It's just, oh my goodness. Yeah, you need continuity with the coaching. That's why Blashill is still the coach in Detroit, even though his teams have been horrible. What if Colorado fired their coach? I remember that one disastrous season that Colorado had where they were they only had 15 or they had less than 20 wins this year when they first had Bednar. They hired Bednar because Patrick Waugh retired 5 days before the regular season was going to start. And Bednar just came in, and Colorado was so awful. They were the biggest joke in the NHL, and they kept him. Everyone thought he was a lock to get fired, and they kept him. And they kept him for through that whole rebuild, and now he's considered one of the best coaches in the NHL. I don't think coaching is necessarily a measuring stick for how well a team does. You got to look at the talent.
What I don't think it's
the talent. It's
Kruger. Yes, they're playing bad right now, and I don't think it's his fault.
I don't blame Ralph Kruger, but he's not going to help the situation. He proved in Edmonton that he wasn't a great coach. I mean, shit went haywire under him in Edmonton. Guys were pissed. Yakupov, I remember, he was the first overall pick when Kruger was their head coach. And I remember Yakupov, dude. Yakupov somehow was always behind the play in the NHL. He was never with the forwards when they were attacking, and he was never close enough on the back check to make a difference, and they just get scored on. It's you got to coach that out of him, man. He's a first overall pick. The GM got fired. The GM of the Oilers got fired because he didn't want to take Nail Yakupov first overall. He wanted to take Murray, the defenseman that ended up going to Columbus.
Ryan Murray.
They fired Tambellini, and the owner took Yakupov, who is now playing in Russia.
Okay, going back to the Sabres, though, since Lindy Ruff was fired after 2013, they've had Ted Nolan, Dan Bilesma, Phil Housley, and Ralph Kruger.
That's 4 coaches.
Yeah.
In the past 7 seasons. That
is
normal.
damn near a head coach every season and a half. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's no consistency there. They're fired after 2 years every single season.
It's not because of them, though. It has more to do with
the GM. Because of them. It's because of the damn ownership. They don't. The people running the team are clueless.
Yep. The talent there has always been just non-existent, man. Like they made that trade for Zach Bogosian that made no sense. They acquire guys like Evander Kane for like a year, and then he wants like out of there as soon as possible. It just never makes any sense. They get like the shiny new toy, right? Like the Taylor Halls that come in. It's nothing sustainable, like ever. It's always just like if we plug this guy in here, that could end up fixing our power play, and it's just a bunch of like bambling nonsense. I will say this though, they have been screwed over from the lottery. Like I said, the picks that they've had should have been higher in recent years.
Draft fucking better players. That's like the lottery.
That's a good point. The fault.
Colorado was screwed over with the lottery multiple times, and they're doing just fine.
Well, Colorado made some really good trades though. They leveraged Matt Duchene. They leveraged Matt Duchene to the fucking roof, and they cashed the fuck out with that, dude. Matt Duchene is a scrub, and they got 2 first-round picks from a trash organization for him. I mean, come on. That's about as good as it gets, man.
One last thing I want to touch on before we wrap things up here. Did you guys see Daryl Sutter got hired by the Flames for his second stint with the Flames? He's back.
No, I didn't hear that actually. That's pretty wild.
The Flames, if you guys have been paying attention to the Flames, they've been struggling. Their head coach Jeff Ward, he's kind of like a lackadaisical coach. Like he kind of lets the players do what they want, and they've been underachieving the Flames. But now they brought in Daryl Sutter, and he's a hard ass.
Right,
he's a hard ass.
He bag skated on the first practice he got in there, and now they're 3-0 ever since he got there, and I think they have a great chance to rebound and make the playoffs.
I hope so.
I love that they got Daryl Sutter back.
That's dark. Oh, we were talking about Calgary?
Yeah,
Calgary or Dale Sutter. Yeah, I remember he got fired from LA because the players hated him with like a passion. They had a players only meeting that year, and they had to lock and barricade the doors to keep Daryl Sutter from entering the room. It was this crazy scenario. But that was clearly a good coach because if you remember when they hired him to be the LA Kings coach, they had just barely snuck into the playoffs. He was their coach for the last 5 games of the 2011 season, and they went 4-0-2 or something like that, squeaks into the playoffs as an 8 seed. And then they upset Vancouver. They swept Vancouver out of the playoffs as an 8 seed, and they marched all the way to the Cup final, never faced elimination, and won the Cup that year. I mean, the guy knows how to coach, clearly. It's just if the players got to buy into his hard-nosed style.
Right.
So, I think he's always going to be better suited for a fired in mid-season coach fill-in job. I don't know if continuity is Daryl Sutter's forte.
Right.
Because I think people get sick of his shit, but he knows how to coach, and he's a hard-nosed guy. He's going to get the most out of his players as long as they listen. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all.
I think it's awesome.
Like I said, I like the hire. I think they'll be able to right the ship because they've got a lot of talent on that team. They definitely need to be getting more out of what they have. I mean, you go.
Did we just lose Steve-O?
Putting up wins.
Thought we lost you there for a second, Steven.
Yeah, you
were cutting out there pretty bad.
You were mute there, bud.
He's still freezing.
No. He's still freezing.
No.
He's Mr. Frozo.
Steven.
Some better internet out there in lacrosse.
Yeah, so you got that Wi-Fi in Wisconsin. Dang, boy.
There he is.
He's back. He's back.
Nice of you to join us, Steven.
I'm here.
During that time too, man.
Well,
yeah, dude. ticket.
Bear down.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Andy Dalton to the playoffs, baby.
Andy Dalton. Andy freaking Dalton, man. I'm gonna have to get drunk and read some Andy Dalton articles or something. I don't know what it's gonna take for me to be okay with this.
Dude, don't do that. That's bad for your mental health, man. Don't even look at that.
I'm just making notes of all this in my Bears history book here about like
Devin,
the things I remember I witnessed as a Bears fan when I was a kid about the Bears having Jim Miller and all these quarterbacks, all these bad quarterbacks. I'm just like making my notes going like Andy Dalton. We got Andy Dalton at some point in time. And I'd be like, look back and go like, what the fuck happened? It just keeps going. The list just keeps growing.
The list of outstanding quarterbacks that Ryan
That's right.
brought into Chicago just continues to grow.